Welcome to another episode of the Relief Podcast. We had such a great conversation last time with Andreas that we're back for more.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Andreas Makris, obviously we spoke from a nice conversation. What he does is he's a prominent broker in the storage locker category. So he's the person you reach out to if this is of interest to you, whether to invest in, acquire, or possibly sell your property, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And we already talked about how to find you and all that good stuff. Sure. So today, we'd like to focus our conversation on some more current events and perhaps finding solutions. Because a lot of times, news is all about shock value. Just to get us divided, stirred up, and stressed, right? And then as philosophical Greeks, we kind of look for the answer. Currently, non-compete came on, right?
Yeah.
And the current leadership, or strong leadership, that's not really that effective. They say non-competes are going to fall off the menu. Why is a non-compete for a corporation anything?
Well, it's important in the sense that, it's the intellectual property, it's proprietary information process, so something special that they feel that, that's what separates them from everybody else, right? They don't want it to get out to the public because then what they're offering diminishes their value once everybody finds out. It's very similar to you can compare it to like the pharmaceutical industry when they come up with a new drug. Their patent lasts for so many years, right? All that research that they put into it. So it's the same thing that any corporate company, they invest time, money, and depending on how much time and effort to put in, most of the time it's millions. They're looking to maximize the return, trying to take away any risk of losing that investment. So, non-compete are common. I think that this ruling of the non-compete where we're trying to make them not enforced anymore, I think that there will be some pushback, definitely. I think that it's still young at early stages, but definitely kind of interesting to see how this all pans out.
Right. I mean, think about coaching clients, right? I mean, that's huge in real estate. Is, the relationship starts with somebody on the team, and somebody else on the team is part of that relationship. Who takes ownership? And usually it's where it's sourced.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning that unless somebody in the team is completely ignored somebody, months and months, maybe longer, that is kind of open. But, like you said, we'll see how it plays out. But usually when a government just steps in and does something, as Ronald Reagan said, the worst thing is when somebody comes up and says, I'm here for my government.
Yeah.
Right? Usually we're in a place now where I heard this on a Democrat publisher, right? Up on the list is perspectives. It said that, the government as it is now, being led by most Democrats, infallible, incapable of making mistakes and big error, blunder, not accountable, right? And we just had an accountability day, an election day, a primary day. Right? Maybe people didn't vote, but in some towns, areas, they have referendums. In fact, I wrote myself in. I got a handful of other people to write me in to be up the state assembly question. So maybe next time, because there was no options, right? So you're like, wait a minute, next time, get 1,000 people to write your name down, and then you actually become somebody, right? Everyone thinks it's complicated, or that you have to have certain friends. Maybe as you go up the ladder, you build tighter, deeper relationships. But to start out, you start somewhere. Advocacy in your local school board, right? If there's an issue on the menu that is not safe for your kids, not of values that jive with, your Christian values or whatever values that you believe in, it's our duty to stand up and not just take it because we're busy, because we're tired. Well, I'm tired of bad policy. Are you?
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, what would you say is a possible solution for just to pick an issue today? And you're like, what, this needs to get better in this town.
Well, I think it really all starts with, it doesn't matter about the issue. I really think it's a matter of where do we start within ourselves.
Okay.
Right?
I
think that, we talk about trying to fix this issue or that issue, right? Mm-hmm. And it's all about, won't deviate too far toward it, but it starts with ourselves.
Yeah. You got to look in the mirror.
You can't, like a lot of us are really quick to judge others on what they're doing. And even this government, everybody's so quick to judge. And, I have my opinions on where everything stands with me, but I think both sides, we're talking about both parties, and we're going to talk about a nation, right? Because I think that's the most part, is not to look at what side you're on. You're all maybe on different sides. We're still on the same team. Yes, still on the same Team America.
Team America, right?
Right? So
That's a nice ring to it.
yeah, Team America. So I think that we all, as we talked about, said accountable. I think it all starts with being more accountable
To ourselves.
to ourselves.
And the promises we make to others, to our.
But first for ourselves.
Okay, so your goals.
Yeah.
We set.
Not even just the promises that we make to ourselves on a daily basis.
Okay.
Right? Lead up to what we believe in, what we agree with, what we partake with, what goes inside of the joint, right? It all starts with those promises and things that we tell ourselves that we are going to do. And then what happens is what? Either follow the side of you're doing what you say you are. And then usually, we talk about, there's this, they call it the 1%, 1%, right? Well, I really believe that the group of the actual people that are doing what they say they're going to do, not 1%. And I think that 99% fall into, some of them are doing it sometimes, not doing it at all, right? And I think, again, it just all starts with us. It's like, look in the mirror, be honest with yourself. And I think from there, that's where, as a nation, I think that, we're expecting a president to change this country. We're expecting this politician to change this country, right? And really, the whole thing is we, as an individual, as a group, as a community, society, we can actually make the changes. We can make big changes. I think a lot of people have limitations, what they believe we can do, what we should do, right? There's a lot of limitations out there. And again, growing up in the Greek family, there was a lot of limitations put on one side, but then a lot of push to do, never stop, right? Never give up. So again, I think we all have some type of limitations, but this country is the best country in the world. And we all need to just really relook and come back, and it all starts with a simple process of holding yourself accountable. So that's where
Well, yeah, I mean, my teachers, they'll say that no one's coming to save you, right? Like, we can cry for a moment in a minute about whatever's going on, but then we have to kind of dust up the mud, blood, sweat, stand up and go. There's others counting on your family, your kids, your community, right? It's counting on you. People get down, but live next to you and hear you. Be helpful. Hey, somebody needs help with something. Like, we go on airplanes all the time, right? Yeah. I don't even ask anymore. I said, let me help you. Like, not you need help with that. I can see you need help with that. Someone's a senior has a big bag. I'm not going to wait for that thing to fall on them. Right? You've been proactive, right? Even if someone does need you, you're like, all right, well, let me do my best to be there for you, right? And in terms of accountability, when, a lot of people are, like I said, the government's 43% of the time. So you spend, now spend it, right? And I went to this recent
yeah, I was
a fantastic event on how to basically raise capital. Okay. Different categories. We can go deep in the weeds on that, or we can talk offline on how we can go create solutions to basically acquire more properties, build more connections, and then help those who are with capital deploy it.
Well, what could you go for, like some key takeaways that you
talk? From that, I think first is powerful speakers, right? We have different authors, like the author of Fiction, that go into a presentation, right? A lot of times you give a presentation, like why work with us? Yes, the merits of me, right? And if you go, if the first thing you talk about is that story, right? Like your character, your value, your story, right? Yourself and you, right? And then this is how I take my values and instill it into this, right? So that's a great takeaway, right? I always look at the lessons and say, how can I instill it to what I do, right? Or, you take a person like we were the Big Short, like last, right? 2008, and I foretold the housing crash that may happen again, right? So I was waiting to ask this question. I ran out of time, and just out of alignment, I got to ask this question on the way out. So I was ready. I said, government spending is 43% of GDP currently. And in the Soviet Union, it actually stopped. He said, stop. I said, wait. I said, hold on. My issues is this. Let me finish, then you can stop. Okay. So Soviet Union went 42%, that's crap. So how much higher can we go? And where should it be? And where should it be? Nobody must answer. See, if we said where should it be, then we would have to right-size government, perhaps even go so radical as to say zero-based budget. If those words aren't even mentioned in it, halls of government, local, state, or federal. Zero-based budgeting means you have to justify every dollar you spend or you don't get in it. Not where you have to burn through this money and waste it or throw it away on agenda war. Again, I don't care what side you're on, but if there's any homeless, any suffering, anybody who has any pain in their home right now, no money should leave this country. None. Again, none. Unless you're supporting farming in a very poor country, right? Like just something that gives food to people so they don't die.
And this was like the other thing I saw with the news the other day was that, briefly I saw the news that people were protesting about Israel, Palestine, right? Which, again, it's a topic of importance. And I believe that, both sides have the advice. I'm not going to get into who's right or wrong. But what I saw was, it seemed to be that it was a younger generation protesting, right? About stuff that's going on in another country.
Right.
Right. And the first thing I said to myself was, why are they not protesting about all the money that's leaving this country to go help other countries, supposedly, right?
So how
come they're not protesting and say, they could be using that money to help this country for whatever reasons it is? Where is that at, right? Where is that at? And that's the biggest thing that surprises me.
Yeah.
Is that and this again goes to show you, nobody wants to look in the mirror.
I don't know.
Everybody wants to go help everybody or look at everybody else's problems, but no one even wants to look at the problems.
So that's a common thing everywhere.
Yeah.
Because the more we point out, we don't look in. Right. And if we looked in, we'd say, well, wait a minute. Who am I? Am I an individual or am I a sheep? Right? Because if you're a sheep and you fall into that group, you go to grade school, middle school, high school, and then college, and in a leftist world. Liberal was okay. I went to school of liberal arts, so I knew they were tilting left, but they tolerated my diverse opinion.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't fully accepted and welcome, but I was allowed to exist. Right? Now you can't exist.
Yeah.
You have to hide your politics to date, work, etc. Right? Otherwise you're going to be alone or seen as a nut. Pro freedom, pro independence, pro starting your own business, hiring other people. And the fact that if you're personally responsible in all ways, you don't need the government. If the government shows up, we're here to help. We don't need you. We'll need you if there's a crisis. If there's a real war that comes to our shore. But let's not start war. Or let's not start things. Because right now in the past, we could start wars and then kind of have this, well, we're at home, it's okay to push a button.
Yeah.
Or to send somebody else's kid overseas to die. Or get maimed or ruined or fall to PTSD and the slow suicide of not living their full potential. We're in a place where we need to not focus on just growing our business, our family. We will do that. But let's return to that Greek ethos of being civic minded, caring about not just our immediate household, right? Because as they say, shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
Okay. And what doesn't affect you today will affect you in the future. Anyhow, continuing on. So when we see bad policy in action and the hypocrisy's out in the open, seriously, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, petitioned or ordered Twitter, also known as X, to take down a photo, right, that had 342 traitorous congressional actors, because I guess they're told what to do, that voted pro-Ukraine and waved Ukrainian flags in the People's House. The last time an American flag was waved in the House was January 6th. Wow. Okay. It hasn't been waved, right? Hangs there, but again, it's not pronounced. It's not cited. Why are these? Let's check the bank records. Let's see which patriot will come out and reveal some bank records of these bad actors. And what happens when it's revealed? You be angry? I'll be upset, disappointed. These people we trusted to be good stewards and fiduciaries of people's money to squander it when there's homelessness, when there's poverty, when food prices are rising. Why not plant fields? Why not take this government gigantic machine, and swords, and turn them into plowshares, as they say way back then? Let's take these higher minds and solve the basic needs of life. I mean, how would you say to go about redirecting this machine and open it to something much more helpful as opposed to cursor?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it all comes down to us.
Okay.
That's not my belief at all. So when we always talk about my philosophy is that, I cannot control what others do, right? I can only control what I do.
Yes.
And whatever I deem to be important and necessary. And, there are so many things and we can throw them on the board and say, this is what they should do, this. But as you were saying, what is working right now? This is how I feel, the way that this whole system is working. It seems to be working, but deep down inside it feels weird. It's like, you ever go in a company or a business or an institution where everything looks great, but you just have this irky feeling that something is wrong. Well, that's what it's kind of feeling like with it now, is that, I think everything looks okay, but there's something that is hidden, right? And hidden in the sense that we have politicians in place here that, I'm not going to say that they're all corrupt. Let's say. I don't like to say it.
You believe in some goodness?
Yeah,
some people.
I believe because, listen, when there's a group,
right,
you can't say all of them. Right? I don't believe that.
And it's hard to see it any different, right?
I don't believe that. I believe that in any group, whatever it is, there's always at least one person.
Let's hope it's one, because, in the times of Sodom and Gomorrah, the one good person said, hey, I promise to find at least one good person. It's that good. Right? So, I mean, the halls of Congress, whether it be the staff, the people who are wheelchaired in and don't have brain activity are still voting.
I saw that video.
Right? It was the late Dianne Feinstein, right? Her daughter was basically voting in her shoes. It's not a royal seat, but they're treating it like a noble court. Right? And the fact that, if you're a freshman senator, Congress, you don't really have a role. You don't have to earn your stripes like they're being hazed. You're being controlled. You don't represent the people who voted for you. You're representing some corrupt Paul. Right? And, how can we vote for term limits when the people who would be hurt by term limits are supposed to be the ones who would vote for their own term limits?
Yeah.
So there's this, time when there's a concept out there called the Convention of States. You've heard of it, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's share about this Convention of States. 30 plus states are signed up on it. Once we get another, let's say, maybe 8 states signed up, we can hold a convention to rein in federal power based on the power of the 10th Amendment. Meaning the federal power has gone too much, right? It's overstepping state boundaries. Like when they send troops down Texas to cut the fence and let in illegal people who might be of military age or may be future voters this November. And voting in one party, of course, because party that lets them in and feeds them and supports them. Doesn't matter what they do, there's no accountability because you can't take it to the court, right? So what's the answer? Sometimes to take it to the street, but not through violence.
Yeah, not through violence.
Violence is the last resort. It's always an option, but we let it be the last option.
Yeah.
So let's discuss it peacefully and shine light on the darkness that's going on. There's a lot of times the news is fake.
A lot of times.
It's not all the time.
Yeah, but it's majority of the time it is really blown out of proportion. Or it's just giving you a story that is really out of its context, right?
Yes.
So I think in this day and age, people just need to really, really hone down on doing the right thing with their family. I believe I'm a big man, family, God, and doing good things for the community. I think that if everybody were to really focus on something that they could do better in themselves and in their family and their community, I think that we would be on a better track and getting back to what needs to change, in the system. I think something will change. I have this feeling that it needs to change, right? I think the more we are aware of what's going on, the more that we speak up. I think that podcasts have been probably one of the best things that have happened in this country, in the sense that the information that is out there, you can clearly get to know people by podcasts, and you get the sense of hearing many different stories, right? Many different versions of a particular side or story. And it really helps get information out. And you can do your homework, because just like the news, when you hear something on the news, I learned that make sure you investigate it really hard before you believe it when you see it. And the same thing with podcasts. Podcasts have really, really blown up in the sense that it opens up your mind, right? It opens up your thought process, maybe, right?
Kind of perspectives.
Yeah, new perspectives. And I think that is something that has really, and I think will help this country, help people in general, all over the world, is to be updated with more information and to really do the homework on it. And I think that by doing so, it's going to help everybody, and hopefully we'll be able to move in the right direction. And also with podcasts, it holds people accountable.
Well, I mean, you want to stay consistent. You don't want to go one way on one episode, then go another way on another episode.
Yeah.
Because clearly, to quote Bob Dylan, it's like, I fear I might become my enemy in the instant that I speak.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to be a teacher, right? I like to be a teacher. I like to educate, just like you are, right? Not just your kids, but to an audience. Say, okay, here's what I've seen and here's what I've learned. Here's what I think might be fair or worth considering, right? Opening a discussion as opposed to what did you see last night, right? Having this dialogue where we may or may not agree on some things, but maybe some big picture things, we just kind of come together and say, as a community, in all our interests, we want safe streets, we want the ability to go to school, we want the ability to have clean water, teaching healthcare options, and accountability everywhere, including government. Meaning, if you vote for someone, right, just like if you hire someone, right, you hired someone to run your company, and they weren't running your company well, how fast can you get rid of them?
I mean, usually, I mean, mindset, you would get rid of them. Well, let me expand on that. If they're running your company, depending on how big your company is, how many responsibilities they have under their belt, right? Sometimes it's not easy when you have somebody that has a lot of tasks and duties and responsibilities that they are managing. And sometimes it is hard. It's a little bit harder to let them go, because you have to then start to put people in place, or yourself in place in most instances, to fill in the gaps, right? Whereas if you have a larger company and it's somebody that has, a role that doesn't have too many tasks and responsibilities, so you can let them go that instant, right? So I think it all depends on how involved that job is, for that person. So
here's an example.
Yeah.
Chicago mayor, right? 1 month in the job, not good, right? Just like a lot of companies, that 90-day probationary period.
Yeah.
Go. Like you just said, the duties aren't fully set in yet. The department heads haven't been all appointed. All the, you help me out, so I'll help you out jobs, patronage aren't there. When you go, let's say even the halls of Philadelphia, City Hall, there's layers on layers of bureaucracy. There's a pension and a drop program. People earn this pension, then they retire to come back and earn another pension. It got stopped and it continues. Or they call something else, or Right now in the news, they hit, the sheriff's office. And but auction properties, I don't know if you have, but it used to be able to bring cash in there. But then they stole the cash.
Yep.
Okay. So these people who are getting steady paychecks and good pensions, it wasn't enough. They had to loot cash. Okay. So that stopped. But now there's still corruption in that system. There's corruption up and down these malls, right? And so you have this system that's not accountable, right? And if you were to try to say, hey, can you please stop spending so much money? Who are you going to complain to? We're going to rally around. You need to build a small rally outside Dilworth Plaza saying, hey, we just lower the wage tax so more companies can come to the city, hire more people, create a great time. They're tone deaf to it. So it seems like we'd have to almost employ a constitutional lawyer saying, hey, what are our rights? And where are they operating within the bounds of government and where they're supposed to, and where are they operating outside? And that's where we, as individuals and a collective, if anyone's listening to this, and if you're a constitutional attorney, we want to have you on the show, right? Because you actually know where people should be operating. And if we're taking it to the right court and the right judge, who's not biased, but open to what it says in terms of balancing that scale of justice.
Yeah.
The justice is supposed to be blind, not looking the other way. We have a system that was selectively prosecuted. So at some point, the law will be outbound. It won't be valid if it's only against certain people. They may favor, have prejudice against before the court even starts. Just like the Donald Trump's trials, which have no merit, right? They're all junk cases.
Yeah.
But diversions from the campaign, right? And somebody has such a strong advantage. Ignore the polls, everybody. Those polls are meaningless. If they say it's neck and neck, they want you to believe that. So if they bring the election, because it was written, you bring in a flood of votes, millions of votes, 2 in the morning, they all go one way. I don't care who you favor. That's not right.
Yeah, whether it was rigged or not, I always like to believe that the American people made a choice.
You think it wasn't a stolen election?
Well, again, what I've learned from my experience in life, my thought is my thought. Meaning, I believe that, right? I believe that, but then you're going to say, well, you don't make any sense. So I believe my personal belief. I believe something happened. All right. But I also then say to myself, the country called for President Biden, right? Now, when I say that, right, is that, that's what it is. I want to say, like, I believe in my country. I love my country.
I love America.
And whatever the result is, that's what the result is. But what I've learned is this. And again, why I'm the way I am, I don't believe whoever's going to be president, whether it was Donald Trump is going to be our president right now, but it's Biden, right? It doesn't change my life. It doesn't stop me from doing what I want to do in my life and what I believe. And, that's my philosophy. That's my take on it. Not saying that Donald Trump should be president or not. I just believe that whoever goes into presidency, and again, goes back to whoever's in government, I'm going to do what I need to do. Right. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to help my community out. And again, I think that there's going to come a time where hopefully it doesn't ever happen, but there's going to come a time where if it continues the way that it's continuing, people are going to have enough. They're going to say enough's enough. And what that's going to look like, how that's going to look like, I don't know. Right. But there will be a time, there will be a breaking point. Yeah. And how that will look, nobody knows. People talk about civil war.
It's happened. It's happened in our home country, Greece, 1945. Mentioned before, who had to fight it, right? And maybe some of your relatives had to fight it. And some people that we go to church with lost parents, right, a long time ago because of that battle for freedom.
Yeah,
right. And saying no to being conquered by a very bad government that becomes tyrannical. Right? Because we trust them, right? To say, okay, here, you defer judgment and decisions to you in certain cases, and we trust that you're going to be good, right? And they can follow the law of God first, right? Which they used to. They used to have the 12th, they had the commandments, so commandments of law. It would have these standards that, we can operate, limited government.
Yes.
Right? That they said in the 1930s from movies like, what's the role of government? You're like, roads and wars. But, okay. It's the out of everything else. Everything else is states' rights. Let them decide what the healthcare situation looks like in the state. Let them decide all these other things. And then you only step in when necessary. That way you have a small government rather than tons of buildings. But you're, as a taxpayer, cannot go in. Right? I can go inside a company where I'm a shareholder. I can go to the visitor center. I can go to the annual meeting, right? With one share. One stakeholder in this company, called this company called the United States, right? And we have votes, but they better count, right? And so if someone's not doing what they're supposed to as a conventional leader, but is saying to a leader, you have the right to write letters, right? To go to meetings, demand a meeting, right? And then if they don't give you time, repeat it again, but always be respectful, even when they're not.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the other thing, is if we're disrespectful the way they're disrespectful towards us and ignoring us, voting to spend money like very foolishly, we need to keep correcting it. So when it's time to vote, we don't believe that they're on our side. Okay, a lot of times it comes time to election, they'll say, oh, we look like you. Oh, in the past we were best friends. But that was then. And like, as you know, people that we grew up with, sometimes we knock our circles in. And some of these politicians that used to be great aren't so great anymore, right? Like, I'll go specific. Robert Casey Jr., right? I met him one day at Starbucks. It wasn't so friendly, but that was nice. And I was encouraging someone like that to say, you know what? I remember how big your father was. We need someone who was a peacemaker and would make you on both sides. They don't do that, right? You come out as a conservative or freedom loving person, where you have the flag in your yard. The other side doesn't like you, but yet they take money from your work.
Yeah.
Right. You work hard, you pay all these taxes, you pay more taxes as a business owner, and then they don't appreciate you and don't like your way of life. That they have it both ways.
Well, I think that there is such a disconnect with people that work in the government versus the actual American citizen, that whether they have their own business, whether it's the American citizen who works 2 jobs, 3 jobs, there's such a disconnect of them understanding what that life looks like, how it's all of their decision makings are affecting the other people, right? Because, I can't say I don't know many politicians, but I just have this sense of feeling that they all probably congregate and talk to each other. And because in their sphere, they're all in the government, have the same benefits, same everything. They think the reality is that everybody lives like that.
A bubble.
Yeah, a bubble, right?
Very insulated.
And
so the reality is that
it's so disconnected that, again, we could talk hours about the disconnection. I mean, I feel like right now in real estate, real estate, that there's such a disconnect out there. I'm saying there's a disconnect between, again, buyers and sellers and brokers. And what I'm saying is that buyers, when they're looking at facilities or properties to buy, the buyers are underrating it and are really conservative. And then you have a broker, he underwrites, he buys a property, and he's trying to be a little bit aggressive, but also a little bit conservative. And then you have the seller that's trying to be super aggressive, right?
Okay.
And in this market, I call it a weird market. It's not a buyer's market or a seller's market. There's a big disconnect. I'm talking about now. I'm going to go into self-storage. Because there's more in self-storage. I don't know about other asset classes. I hear similar stories in other asset classes, but especially in self-storage, there is this disconnect, right, of what everybody perceives a facility is worth right now.
Yeah.
Which, again, just like in anything, whenever there's a big disconnect, right, things stall. Things, you have some people in this era, just like in personal, in types of doom and gloom, people buy. They love that opportunity to buy. And when everybody's buying, There's people that say sit on the sidelines.
Right.
Well, I feel like right now you can apply this and that to a lot of scenarios, a lot of topics that are going on in this world. You can apply it to the government, but you can apply it to family life. There's a lot of disconnects going on, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult because when we're talking to somebody that is completely one side and there's another side, what I feel like as me going back into the self-storage world, the broker, it's my job to get a full understanding of where the buyer is underwriting and how he's underwriting, why he's underwriting. Seller, why does he think his property is worth so much? And obviously, a lot of times it's just their blood, sweat, and tears they put into it and just put a price number on it. That's what they think it's worth. But it's my job to kind of rethink and re-strategize and try to get a basic understanding for both parties to kind of come to a common ground. Is that I think as people, going back into outside of real estate, we all need to listen to others, even if somebody has a different opinion or some different. We have to be open-minded, rethink. I'm reading a book called Rethink by Adam Grant, and it's pretty interesting, the book, that it's really forced me to change the way I believe when I say I'm right at something. It's made you rethink. Not just that, it's not doubting myself. It's forcing me to rethink. Maybe there's another way of thinking about that scenario, that topic, that issue, whatever it is. There's always another way of rethinking it. Maybe to have a better outcome, right? Yeah. So I think that, finding that common ground, rethinking, being open-minded is really something that we're all needing to do. And moving forward, whether it's real estate or in life, I think that, finding a common ground and being open-minded, it's going to get us in the right place.
Certainly. You know what it is? It's like you don't know what life is like until you walk to somebody else's shoes.
Sure.
Right? And, having a day in that life. And it reminds me of like growing up. I don't know if you're part of these types of groups, but like there was a group called the Golden Fairstyles. And you kind of switch. And for one day, these kids who grew up in the suburbs of Philly to spend a day in Overbrook High School. Right? And I get to see what that was like. Right? To be in a different type of environment. To see fights in the school during the day. Right? And then it's time to have lunch. Right? And I see like, oh, what's on the menu? Cheesesteak and French fries, like stuff you normally never see in your own menu. They're like, how much is lunch? Free. I think it's a joke. Or if I don't go off with this, I think I'm stealing.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? $3, $5? Like I'm ready to pay you. It's the 90s. Like, no, it's free through the National Lunch Program. This might be the only food they eat during the day. Kids. Parents either can't afford it, neglect them, or whatever you want. Oh, there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's what I learned at my high school. Someone has to pay for that lunch.
Yeah.
Right? And for whatever good or bad in China is, in China, you have a kid, you have to pay for that school fee where the kid doesn't go to school. Right? So you got to feed them right. You got to educate them right. Or, that's it. Or they're going to have a small life. Here it's more like, if you burden the system, right? Let the students be taken care of by the teacher. The system is the worst thing.
Yeah.
It's the parents, the mother, the father, together, separate, grandparents, uncles, people in your church. Those are the leading influences in kids' lives, usually until the age of 10, ideally. If you throw them away in daycare, that you don't keep count, and they grow up to change their gender, let's just call it what it is. Those are just mental illnesses. I mean, it's one thing if someone goes up to a gay, that's their life. What are we going to say? Yeah, coming from a Greek household, I'll give you a quick story. This is actually fun. We were in Greece for Thanksgiving, right? And they have an American get together Chios of Greece, right? And I had my hair up now, but I had my hair down. And this woman who's like a cousin just discovered, she's like, your son is gay. And I'm like, well, people, they try. I said, no, I don't try nothing. Right? And then She keeps going, right? And my dad's my dad is right next to her. And he's his own son, right? Like, and then he says in Greek, Rotaksana. Ask again. Meaning push me, right? We've pushed enough. You got your answer. You're a little inappropriate, trying to be funny, trying to test boundaries, and you stand your ground. But when someone pushes you too far, they say, look, stop.
Yeah.
No more. Right? The same thing. If they're overtaxing you, right? If you're not happy with the prices of gasoline, food, everything, write letters to those Congress. They do get that. Okay. Get your neighbors to do the same thing. Get efforts together. Meet with your neighbors. All meetings. Okay. If your speech is controlled on Facebook, guess what? TikTok's not controlled. That's why Congress is trying to ban it. Right? First I thought, oh, this is a Chinese thing. No. It's a free speech thing.
Yeah.
It's the only free speech gigantic platform left. And guess who's using it? Kids. The future. They want to influence the future. They can't do it on TikTok because they won't listen to you. They say take down speech that they think is dangerous. They deem it dangerous because it goes against the group thing. And the best thing is when we think for ourselves.
Yeah.
When we stand up, we say, hey, that's not right. And then change happens. Like, as you mentioned earlier, we bring it back to the individual and to say, you know what? You can't point at that many mistakes I have left because I've done a lot of my own work. And if you point out something, I might thank you to good stuff to work. That I'm not affected. But you know what? Now it's time that we can point out the problems in society, hypocrisy of the actor, government leadership, some of the companies out there, right? And, let's say in Europe, for instance, that they're advocates for clean ingredients in the food. Here we're not, right? And, when you buy processed foods for your kids, you better look at those ingredients. If you grow up to be sick, it's going to cost you more money. Inflation every time.
Yeah.
Right? You got to be mindful of everything, right? I mean, in terms of, talked about this last time, like teaching your kids with values, right? To say, hey, the world's a little upside down, as you mentioned earlier. We have that free internet, free cell phone life. They don't have that. They've been born with a device unit, right? Seeing others with that. How do they go about growing up independently and knowing that they have a true set of after values?
Well, it's really, paying attention to your kids, just looking at, whether it's this era, previous generation before. It definitely takes community to raise a child, right? It's out of the way community around the child. And then it's just parents being parents, right? If parents are not aware of what they're doing, of what their kids are doing 24/7, even though it's hard, school plays a big part of it because the kids are at school most of the time doing everything. So whatever community of that school is like, what's going on, it really impacts the kid. And then when they come home, a lot of times I love this phrase. A lot of people forget where their feet are. So when I hear this is that you should always, the real phrase is you should always be where your feet are, right? And that's quoted from A.B. Elliott. I don't know if that's from him, but it's really important because most parents, when they come home or when they see their kids, right, they're on their phone. They'll say hi, or what I love is people in their house, right? They'll say, "Oh, we're always together all the time," but we could be together right now. You're sitting there, and I'm on my phone, and we're having a conversation, but we're talking to them, but we're not really paying attention. Right? Yeah. We're not present, and we're not showing our kids attention. So what happens is that when kids don't get enough attention, right, and we're teaching them that when we're talking to them with the phone in our hand, not looking them in the eye, because looking somebody like, and the funny thing is we're talking about basic things, right? Basic things that you were never, you always talk to somebody, you look them in the eye and you talk.
Yes.
You listen.
Yes.
Nowadays you have to tell them, hey, look them in the eye.
Okay.
Shake their hand.
Okay.
I tell my kids, shake their hand, look them in the eye. When somebody's talking to you,
Yeah.
Look at them, right? Look at them. Well,
But they learn. But again, a couple of gentle, kind adjustments.
Yeah. We have to pay attention.
But then people straighten out. Right? And then this is good behavior that when reinforced becomes habit.
And again, parents need to be parents. You can't let the kids think that they know better than us. And again, sometimes they are right, and you're wrong. But parents need to be parents. Parents are there to guide their kids, right? And one thing I've learned being a parent is that even it's okay to make the wrong decision. You made a decision. And if you made that wrong decision, tell your kid, I messed up and I should have did this.
Owning a mistake to your kid.
You got to show them that you made a mistake. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that,
that's bro.
Not saying sorry when you should say sorry is the worst thing, because then you're just teaching your kids not to say sorry.
They're learning from you. But they're going to be sponges at whatever you throw out.
Yeah, everybody wants to talk about what's the most precious thing. What's our why in love, right? And especially as a parent, what is your why? Why is your kid? Oh, right? Is your kid?
And it's the next generation. That's what it's all about. It's shaping the future so that it is, whenever we meet this physical plane to the spiritual one up heaven.
Yeah.
God loves us enough. Put that enough good. It's, hey, was this place better off? Did we leave more destruction? We made money. All right, so what made money? Right? Good way.
And they got any numbers the money.
No, not at all. No, every time I go to, in our Greek circles, it's this person had the best smile, the warmest heart. They were fully attentive when you talk to them. Right? All these little things that you hear, you're like, oh, I can think of 5 people right away who, if I just remember that and they're no longer with us, you're like, I'm going to smile because that's who they were.
Yep.
Right? And those are inspiring to live by, right? To say, okay, how do I want to be with my career? And yeah, you want to be a winner, you want to dominate, you want to build wicked teams, right? And lead by example. But you want to know that wherever you go, you have this grace that you're kind. You're willing to talk to anybody. Sometimes in our circle, and it's kind of, I find it funny. I used to find it annoying, but I think it's funny. Some people, they're only nice to you when they can get something from you. But what do you think about it? Do you just find it humorous, or do you think it's short-sighted?
Well, it's funny that you said that. I think people that act like that when they're only nice to you when they want something, and they were taught that.
So that's taught, not taught.
Yeah,
that's copy.
Yeah.
So they grow up to be taught, like in school, hey, only ask when you need something, and don't just be nice to someone just to be nice. Right? Meaning only bother somebody when you need something. Right? So it starts with childhood of like sit down and be quiet, as opposed to, hey, I'd like to just do something nice for you. But now what you can do for me? The moment that comes out, say content.
Yeah. Again, it really, these are habits learned from all of us that we learn sometimes not even paying attention to it. But again, I've learned to learn those triggers from seeing it from other people. And, I clearly, I'd set boundaries.
Yeah.
You got to set boundaries in place. And it's very simple. If somebody wants to do something nice for me, that's great. If I do something nice for somebody, I tell them it's nothing in return. I want nothing in return.
Right.
When you do something, I think it's really important when you set the tone, right? You say, I'm doing this because I want to.
Right.
And if you're doing something because you want something, it's best to say from the beginning, right?
Yes.
Because I don't have an issue when somebody comes to me and says, I would like to do this for you, but there has to be this. Then it's up to me to make that decision. Well, is it worth my time? And is there a reward for it?
All right.
If they're blunt, I appreciate what. Now, yeah, sometimes it will catch you off guard because it's somebody that you love and it's something that's asked. You would think that there should be anything in return, but there is. Yeah, you may get upset, for a moment. But then you look over and say, I appreciate the bluntness. And at least you know where you're getting yourself involved in, right? So there, so I've dealt with that many times with in growing up ages of living with my family. It's many scenarios of that. But, again, being clear with your message and setting the expectations. Setting expectations is probably the most important thing that we sometimes tend to forget or overlook. I think when we are planning to do something, whether it's for ourselves or for somebody, and we say we're going to do this, blah, 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 it is so important to set the tone, the expectations, and the time frame.
Yeah. So it's measurable goals. I actually was talking about SMART goal is that how do you achieve progress, right? Not perfection, not the ideal. Because a lot of times people think we must have the ideal and then they don't start.
Yeah.
Right. Or they start and they don't complete it. Or like you said, and then you bring that promise to yourself. So then you're confident stuff. And then you talk to me where you're like, you fall off and then you're like, you look in the mirror like, oh, something out of bounds. But you get up, you start over again towards the day. You start fitness playing,
That happened to me this morning.
Oh, yeah.
I set my alarm for 5 o'clock. Okay. Well, usually I wake up around 5.
Yeah.
And I got up at 5:30 and I get upset at myself. Right? So
you still got to out before the crack of dawn.
Yeah, but still, my whole goal is trying to get up to 4 o'clock.
That's your goal?
Yeah.
Be up that early?
Yeah, because what I've learned, it scared me in the past, but I usually stay up. We're going off, but I wake up around 5. I usually stay up till 11:30 at night. But there was times where I would try it out. I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3:30. And I was super, super productive on those days. And even though I went to bed, I went to bed around 10. When I woke up around that time at 3:34, I was more productive. I got a lot more done. Why? Less distractions.
And that's clarity.
Less distractions.
You're planning work. You're thinking time now.
So that's why, this morning, I woke up. So I was upset at myself. But I said,
you got to forgive yourself.
You got to forgive yourself.
And know that, like I said, this is the hiccup along the road. Like, if there's traffic, more so than expected, right? And it pushes back your start time.
Well, the traffic gives no control over.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. When you don't have control over something, it's frustrating. But then you say, okay, I have no control over it. But things that you have control over, it tends to I take it personal. For me,
okay,
if I hold myself to a high standard,
as we should,
right? Yeah. And whenever I don't follow through what I said you would do, it eats me down. I'm my worst critic.
Well, we should criticize ourselves, but not flog ourselves. Right?
Yeah.
To sit there and dwell on this for another week or two.
Oh, yes.
Throw you so far off from activity. It's words. Yeah. Right. They say to be a little bit graceful as opposed to completely austere, like the way our fathers were with us. Say, hey, if you're off your hour, you're off. Yeah. They're like, all right, look, let's be a little graceful, then your body need another half hour rest so that you can have even more productivity today. Right. Yeah. So that's the perspective part of it. That's how I sit sometimes. It's like, well, I'd love to be at the 5 a.m. club every day. You're up 5 a.m., you get going, get moving. Oh, you know what? The travel schedule, last couple of days, it's that. Right? And I'll go back out to the early time. And you know what? I'd rather be alive and healthy than sick and at my best.
Oh, of course.
Right? Because you can't fake it. And people, like you said, the people we look up to, they hit these hard routines, cold plunge, prayer, journaling, gratitude practices. All of those things are awesome. And we need to employ some version of that in our lives. Because when we reflect and write down our concerns, they're not as concerning.
Yeah.
They're not as overwhelming. Because now you're looking at it. And you're like, all right, how do I solve this? And you're like, all right, I can take action on that. I can't take action on that. Should I worry about item 2? No. They worry about item 3? Yes, but not right now. Right? It's a priority, but it's not urgent. It might be critical, but it doesn't have to be done right now.
Sure.
So this is where we prioritize and put the activity in the timeline. Right. And when I started learning to do that, I'm not saying stress went away, but it became less pain.
Yeah.
Because we're all cool with stress, because it's fine. But let it not turn into depression.
Yes.
And a lot of times people in recent years, they fall ill, they fall dead. Younger, it's not just poor eating, it's poor thinking. It's holding it to stress. And so one thing I think all of us advocate is find that person that you can talk to. If you have you've read Psychic saying that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Start why. He shares something really, really good. And I think I'll start telling my friends this. It's like, do you have 8 minutes? Yes, that like meaning if someone's stressed out, someone's business is failing, their relationship is failing, they can't keep it bottled up, but they don't want to bother your life and your big concerns. But they need to hear me for 8 minutes, right? And I just want to talk and vent and express. Maybe you say something, maybe you don't say something. But know that you're there for that day or that week. You have that chat. And there have been times in the last many years, especially the last 3 or 4, that I've had that chat. I've done that for others, and some have done that for me. And it's kind of like that solace in the valley when you're kind of down there in the dark. And you're like, oof, I had some setbacks. I thought this win was going to be a win. It turned into a loss. Right?
Yep.
And now I have to dig out of that while moving some more boulders up the mountain, right? And so that your shoulders are tight, right? And you don't think that stuff gets out. I did yesterday. I did a foot massage. I had done that. In fact, I can't even remember. But I fell asleep too, right?
Yeah.
And then you leave a little bit relaxed. Then I hit the gym.
Yeah, self-care is so important.
Oh, yeah.
I think that we tend to, as far as for people that are hard workers, people that are unselfish and are always looking for help others, we tend to forget about taking care of ourselves, right? But I think it's the most important thing that you need to remind yourself that every day you need to take care of yourself, because if you take care of yourself every day inside, through your soul and through health, physical activity, it only will help the people around. It'll make you a better person to help the people around you and want to. And that's just the biggest thing that I take. And, I do this ritual every morning where I wake up, I pray, I go for a 2.5 mile run, I come breakfast, I journal, I go to the gym, I do grounding, I do breathing techniques, I do cold shower for 6 minutes, I read for 5 pages, and I try to do it all before 10 o'clock, right? And when you do so many good things for yourself, it boosts you to give it all you got the rest of the day, right? And I implemented this maybe I would say 3 months ago, all these things, and I cross it all before I start a vigorous work schedule. Even though my calls and everything start at 9 o'clock in the morning, I try to get everything I can all for myself before 9, 10 o'clock, so that I can give it all I have to my work and to my loved ones.
That's the right formula.
And it really, and I carry this book, a journal, carrying me everywhere. And it really just, you see, this is the thing we forget. By writing everything that you've accomplished and your thoughts and what you're thinking, you actually get to see the progression yourself. Because when we're busy all the time, putting out fires, solving problems, and solving more problems, right? We can't remember everything. No, right? But when you write it in the book, you write things in the book that you've accomplished on a daily basis, what you're thankful for and what you're capable of doing. I never saw so much progress in myself. Why? Because I wrote it in the book, and every week I go through the book and I see what I've accomplished, what I've done, what are my thoughts, what are my goals, what did I accomplish? And I look and I say, man, Andreas. And when I say this is that then it boosts me, my confidence. I have a better relationship with myself.
Yeah.
To go on to the next day, to the next meeting, and I say, you know what, Andreas, if I had a bad day, I looked at my book and said, man, you're doing pretty good. And it's okay to have a bad day, a bad week. You can have a bad month, right? But when you write things down, you see the improvement. You see what you've gone through. and you survive. Because even the downfalls, like, people like don't want to remember. I write down all my downfalls. It's like, what? I went through that. I did it. I got it. I survived. And what I stressed over was not even close to what it really was. It was nothing. Right. So all these battles that you do, you got to mark it down. Right. And as I say, I celebrate all the small wins, the small battles, the big battles. I celebrate them. What I do every time I get everything done every day, I celebrate. And it's so important. And we forget about that. And it affects us so much that little simple things. So when somebody told me to write a book, I couldn't believe how much it changed. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, after 42 years of my life.
It's transformative whenever I've written over the years and I see different journals.
There you go.
And, then there's the people who are super organized themselves. Let this be your Google journal. Let this be your thoughts. Like sometimes they're all in one.
Yeah.
And sometimes I take that and put in something else. And it might be something you write, consider, or perhaps a goal, right? And one thing that's been really interesting with me is something I would set like a positive intention of what I want to accomplish at work. Mm-hmm. And then I'll pick up that book for 2 years. Then I open it. Wait, maybe I did 3 of those 4 things. Wait, could I do this last step? Wait, maybe I don't need to do that.
There you go.
Right? Yeah. And so then you realize what's necessary, not necessary. It helps you sharpen your sword, right? Yeah. I mean, you look back to what Marcus Aurelius did. He's accountable to only himself.
Yes.
Right? Because who could he trust? Anyone could have basically turned on him and then died. And that could have been ended up doing because he trusted the wrong person. So rather than do that, you trust yourself. I find it to be a challenging concept as a Christian because we're told not to trust ourselves. We're told to trust God. And that we're fallible.
We are. Fault. Yeah, well, we're not perfect. We trust God. We believe in God. God is the one that's going to show us the right way. But I feel like you have to trust yourself. In some form way, you have to trust yourself. You got to believe in yourself. I mean, and when I say, but see, this is the thing people forget if you're not, following God's path. When you believe in yourself, you believe in God.
So you're believing in the God that's within you.
Right? That what is God showing you so far, and you're believing because He's showing you the way. So you have to believe in yourself in order to believe.
And
you have to.
That goes into, so I think once you finish that other book on rethinking, I think it's the same author has another book called Get Attention.
Yes. Yep.
And so I'm not sure if they've dug into that, but just the title tells you a lot that we have this potential within us.
Sure. We have something,
like this, as you're strengthening yourself, right? Your capacity for growth, right? And you go to these circles where you see people born at a high level who at one point couldn't perform at all.
Yeah.
Right. And then they chipped on that hardcore routine of waking up early at dawn. They didn't working out. They didn't feel like it and performing with ill, right? Or sneezing or coughing or if it's snowing, they still go for a run, right? Because it's willpower.
Yep.
It's mental fortitude. It's being able to have that ability when that humongous opportunity comes across your desk. You're like, wait a minute. My mental game is so sharp right now. I'm able to tackle this. But somebody else is going to go up on a 3-hour watch, fall behind. You don't need to have that 3-hour watch. You rather have that 3-hour discussion on how to get to the deal.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's really that I'll take a perspective, but I saw today, I went to the gym this morning and I saw a father with his daughter. Right. And I saw, we'll talk about willpower.
Okay.
So the daughter, it was in a bad accident and, was bedridden for a very long time. And for the past month, they've been going every day to the gym and the father's been training her to walk again. And when you said willpower, that was the first thing that came to my mind because today, I never cried. I cry when I work out sometimes, just let my frustration out. But today it made me cry because I saw the willpower of this little girl not giving up and the father supporting her and just guiding her through. I saw the smiling. And for the past month, from where she started to where she was today, I never saw such improvement. But again, when you said willpower, you need the willpower. You can't give up.
Right.
You can't give up.
That will to win starts with that next step. And it could be shaky, it could be wobbly, it could go out of bounds, but just take it. And, you got to leave it all out there on the field. There's only one game, right?
I think that a lot of times, we're scared to face we're scared to face that pressure. And what I've learned, the best thing that I've done, I made it for 2024, was to face all my pain and pressure dead on. Whenever it heads on, I go straight into it. It's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
It's never good to hold on to anything. You just go straight into it, talk about it, try to solve that problem, but don't hold on to that pain or pressure, and don't hold back. Because I think,
Charge forward.
Yeah.
It's like the buffalo.
Don't be afraid. I think we psych ourselves up so much on certain things that get us scared, right? We psych ourselves up, and it stops us, right? And I've been, I say to myself every day, failure is not getting an F for you doing something or trying and you didn't succeed. That's not failure. Failure is not acting on something that you should do. That's failure.
It's not failure. I think it's also a source of the true anxiety. See, the anxiety that we hold ourselves on is, what if this happens? Look, this could go wrong. And that's negative thoughts. But to me, I've redirected what anxiety is. I'm not being honest. And I know I'm not. And so what can I do about it? Right? So those are those planning steps. Those are the things you journal. Those are the things that you said, you know what? If these things come to place, whether it be the right assistance, the right effort, in the right direction, where is life going to go? Meaning in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, progressing, right?
Yeah.
So we are, no matter what the conditions are outside, inflation, this issue, that issue, we're going to rise above it, because this is a competitive landscape for it, right? And like you said, it's a dog eat dog world, but let us, the alpha whales, right? Lead our packs, right? To not to be the best hunters out there, but just to kind of survive. And share the path of what's worked for us and what hasn't worked for us. And that's what we're doing here. If you guys have topics that you like for us to bring up in future episodes, more than welcome them. But
yeah, definitely.
What else, has come to mind in these weeks from your travels, from your work, that you're like, what? There's something I want to discuss today.
Yeah, there's so many things I love talking about, and I always wondered if it's of interest.
All right, throw something out there.
I've been on this bandwagon searching for motivational speakers.
Okay.
And, listening to different motivational speakers.
What do you really like it so far?
Well, it's, I love all, right? I'm going to say this, I love all, but there's one thing that has disappointed me, right? The only real true motivational person that I really love is the older gentleman, Jim Rohn.
Well, Jim Rohn, he's not old, he's gone.
He's gone.
but he left the lasting impact. I feel he's been the giant that Tony Robbins stood on.
Correct. So I put him there.
Mm-hmm.
Then, Tony Robbins, he's there too. But I feel like everybody else has taken everybody else's words and just regurgitated them, right?
Okay.
So in my summary of what I've been doing so far is what I've gathered from all of this is that, when you're on this path of personal growth and personal development, business development, right? Some of these motivational speakers, coaches, sometimes will tell you that they have the answer, right? The secret answer. And that secret, that answer, to me, that what I've come about with is that, number one, it starts with you. And all the answers that people provide are not Einstein.
No, they're basic life management templates.
Yeah.
And mindset adaptations,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, to add to the two that you started with, I would add several more because I'm a student of, let's say, like Quarterback, Earl Nightingale, Stranger Secret, Rolling Hills, Ron Race, Dale Carnegie, and a bunch of friends, those people. Not to just say those things and name drop it, but actually read them on a quarterly basis. When I list the other high performers, saying this is what they do, what they do it.
Yeah.
And then I would add other pioneers like Ron Tracy, who, he doesn't have the most flashy presentation, but he follows up. He's consistent. He talks about this good. This is what happens. Eating that frog, making those tough calls in the morning you don't want to make. But guess what? Now it's an easier lift.
Correct.
You go lift in the morning. Now you don't have to lift the heavy burden in the afternoon because it's already done.
Yep.
Then there's people like Les Brown, right? Say things like, you got to be hungry. And again, those stories, you can hear them. You can still be moved. You can still be inspired. They'll take you so far. The work is what takes you.
Yeah, it's the work. It's the work.
But there have been times I'll wake up in the morning, I'll put on a Rocky tape, right? And it's not just Rocky going out there. It's his training, right? From the last movie, Rocky Balboa, right? This guy was Apollo Creed's trainer, right? And he comes out and he says, listen, Rocky, you're old. Okay, you got arthritis in your neck. You can't move. You can't dance. And this guy needs speed. You don't have it. Right? And your joints hurt. So bobbing and weaving is out. So how are you going to win with horsepower? Good old fashioned cast iron hurting bombs, right? So let's go build them, right? And that inspired to go train. Just a few seconds, right? We share a little kindness with somebody. They have a nice day. Give them a smile. That's a human being, as we said earlier. That's a little bit of God in somebody.
Yeah.
Even if they're not smiling, even if they're grumpy. So what? Smile. Let them think you're crazy. You don't want anything. You just want to be pleasant, right? And you hold that door for somebody, not expecting $1, not expecting even a thank you. Just it's something nice to do. And then people do pay it forward eventually. If not right away, don't be attached to that need that somebody else has to be given. Right? You just know in your heart that you did. So, and you don't have to always throw it on social media when you feed somebody. Like, you like that? I mean, seriously, like, I can't even count probably how many times your family has probably helped a cause, a family, quiet. As we're taught, and again, you don't have to go into it. You can always share good to inspire. But there's my mom, probably your mom taught you is like, right? You do something good and then throw it in the ocean like nobody ever saw it.
Yeah. No, I never happened. And I love the share the story. Like, I was in Arizona a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And it was my last morning. And I went to this little diner and I saw these 4 older gentlemen. They were in the late 70s, 80s. They hadn't served the military or maybe because they had their hats on. And I saw how happy they were. And they were talking, just it was like their daily ritual. I found out. So I asked for the server to give me the check, but please, I said, do not say nothing.
Yes.
I said, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I want them to know.
Yeah.
I just want to walk out. I want them because I see how happy they are.
Yes.
I see how happy they are. So he knows something. I want to now, and he acknowledged you. Right. And I'm going to be honest. I know that I used to do that a lot. I would say 10 years, and I haven't done that. And I could say that it felt so damn good.
I've done it too.
And it felt so good.
What you're saying, I did. I think I remember the story. It was in Florence, Arizona, at a restaurant called Parental. Right. So the same thing. Talking to somebody who was a veteran, his wife, RV. I don't know what their income was. Didn't matter, but we held conversation. We're actually sitting at the same table because the place was crowded. And I didn't bother him too much, but just I was pleasant and be happy and just sharing about positivity, right? Yep. And then same thing is, hey, on the way out, I said, hey, the check stamp and the next day. Oh, shook my hand and said, that's it. But now I want nothing. I don't need to fall upward. I mean, want to talk again? I'd be happy to, but we're going to go on.
Yeah.
Right. And then, you're like, wow, so right. Then they don't want anything. They just, you probably appreciate that someone's pleasant.
Yeah, I just saw happy.
Right? That's it. You want to say, you know what, let me make your happy day happy.
Because I look at it and I said, man, when I get to that age, I hope I have 3 friends around me like that.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because I just saw
That's
how
heavy.
happy they were. I saw how happy they were. You take for granted those things. Right?
Well, I'm going to challenge you. So one of my teachers, and I recently taught at my last year, which 5 people do you want to be in the past time?
Well, the 5 people?
Yeah.
Obviously my kids. Let's say my parents. And whoever's my best friend at that point.
There you go. Okay.
Because I have 2 really good friends, and I don't want to leave one out.
You'll make room for one.
Yeah.
That's 2 that counts for the 5th one. But the point of that exercise, and I would answer some, somewhere maybe put grease next to it. But, those are the people we need to court to. Right? Those are the people we need to spend the most time with. Be super intentional with, right?
Yeah.
Not have the phone around. Even if it's our instinct, say, oh, well, this deal's contingent on responding. Share that. Say, look, sorry, I can't really be fully present today because this deal's hanging on me to make it. And so if I go off, it's not because I'm, it's because this has to get done. And as a result, the income will be
Yeah.
Oh, they respect that. In our certain Greek circles, you're working, for the most part, they respect.
Oh, no. If you work, you got to get out a free jail card from your relatives.
Oh, they understand. We're the ones who are becoming more self-aware, saying, all right, slow down. You don't have to run this hamster wheel forever. Back up and then establish boundaries. Say, look, tonight I won't respond to you because I'll be with family. Yeah. And then they'll be like,
it's okay.
That's what, well, I'll be available 7 a.m. tomorrow. Like, okay. Nothing really falls apart. Unless it's a day on the contract, right? Then it's kind of, okay, we got to scramble, make sure that hit our deadlines or extend them if necessary. But in closing remarks or thoughts on where do you see things progressing as sprint, right? In terms of, you see us, like you said earlier, heading towards this possibly inevitable civil war, and you feel like he's going to be achieved this fall.
Well, I think it's number one, civil war won't happen this fall. I think that civil war, is like really, really for that to happen. I don't know if we're there yet, but there's possibilities. But I think that it's really tough to say where we're at. I feel good, right? But it's hard to really get a good gauge because when you talk to people, a lot of people are scared to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
I think we're a kindergarten.
So basically, I can't say how. All I know, what I feel, I feel good things are happening, going to happen moving forward. I've taken to the norm that we can't expect a smooth sailing ride all the time. We live in a great country and the greatest country, and we can't think that everything is peaches and cream and everything's perfect. We got to fight for what we want. We got to face all of our battles. We're going to we have to, roll up our sleeves and do work and continue to do what we need to do as a daily, citizen of this country. We need to, perform and lead by example, and we need more leaders. And hopefully, by next year, we'll have more leaders created. And, I think that's just the biggest thing. I'm always on the positive side. I used to be on the negative doom and gloom. Right. And I say doom and gloom, and I was very negative, but I'm not saying I worry. Yeah, I do worry. I'm a little skeptical about certain things, but, positivity and acting and moving forward is the way to go. So I don't know.
Definitely positivity attracts more negative. Sure. And in order to be a magnet, you need to attract polarity. So that's extending your hand to people who insist. Saying, look, as long as we set a ground rule where we're not going to call each other names, whether you think it's valid or not valid, sarcasm is, to me, I think is not effective. I always looked at it as a way to make fun of each other. Right? It's an immaturity.
Yeah.
It's a way to, if you don't like someone, just say that you don't like. Don't say you're just kidding. Right? But just be upfront. Say, look, I don't like what you're saying here, And for that reason, I'm not I'm not a person who acting. Right? Oh, well, why is that? Well, how can we bridge our differences, right? It's like, well, they cannot be bridged. They're like, well, I'll try you next month.
Yeah.
It's like if you get rejected on the call. Hey, not now. Yeah, well, maybe next month. Right? So, I'm glad that we can have these dialogues. Thank you again for a wonderful episode.
No, thank you.
I look forward to more.
Yes.
Where we're going to start hitting maybe more specific on a topic and maybe even going to possible, actions that you take.
Oh, definitely.
Shared links.
Yeah, I think moving forward.
Stories.
Yeah, I agree.
Of impact that, I would inspire others to take action in their own communities, because we can speak in abstract all day, but I think it's more just like specific projects.
Yeah.
You talk about, storage industry, or you can go into a specific project that, you value added, or that you sold it with a client to make better. You market it itself quickly and at the right price. So that way it's not out of balance and it doesn't sit on the market for a while. It makes you look your best throw. So I really want to thank you again for your time today. And thanks for tuning in for another great episode of the Relief Podcast, where we do welcome diversity of opinion, and tune in for our next episode. Thanks again.